Hey everybody, it's Rob the Cherry City Guns and Ammo, and today we're doing something that I cannot believe I'm doing. I'm doing a revisit of the SCCY CPX2, the most hated gun I've ever owned. Stick around. Alright, like I said in the intro the most hate I've ever gotten on a video is for this gun, where I said it's the worst gun I've ever shot. There's a lot of reasons for it, but there's a lot of comments that got made on the video that made some good points. So I decided, well, maybe I had some pre-existing opinions about the SCCY before I shot it. So maybe I need to shoot it again and try to think of it from a little more objective perspective and try to think about it in a little bit different terms and give it another chance. So that's what we're going to do today. I never thought I was going to do it, but your comments convinced me. Give it another shot and see what we can do. So a little bit of history. The SCCY, this is a gun that you can pick up for $200. Used to be able to pick them a lot cheaper than that, but it is a semi-automatic hammer-fired pistol, but it is a double action only hammer, and it's right in there in the back of the slide. You can see it moving as I'm pulling the trigger. From a reliability perspective, this gun's confusing to me. Some people carry semi-autos for their concealed carry gun. Some people carry revolvers. There's pros and cons to both. With the semi-autos, typically you've got a much better trigger, which makes for much faster and more accurate follow-up shots. You typically also have better capacity. The people that argue for the revolver argue that the revolver is much more reliable because you're not having to worry about the action being cycled by the round, by the gas from the round, or the blowback from the round, depending on how the gun the action is. You also don't have to worry about, like, if you're up close as the slide cycles, getting clothing hung up on it and stopping it from working. Where the revolver, you just keep pulling the trigger and it's just going to keep working. There's nothing really going to stop it. One issue I have with this is it doesn't seem to have the pros of either one, but all the cons. And what I mean by that is it's a semi-auto, so it has the inherent issues that semi-autos have as far as reliability. You're relying on a round to cycle it. If you got a dud, you're dead in the water. There's no just pulling the trigger and having it go a second time, or cycling. Although this, you would, I guess, get a second hammer drop on it if it didn't cycle. But if you were in close and you were tussling with somebody in a defensive situation and clothing hung up on it, they keep their slide from cycling, and then you would have to try to get a second hand on this to rack the slide again, to try to get a round into battery and working again. But then it doesn't have that revolver reliability, but it has that unbelievably long, stiff trigger pull, which is the biggest downfall to the revolver. Now, one thing it has better than the revolver, it does have 10 round capacity. Revolver, you're going to be stuck with 6, in some cases 7, and in some cases 8. And if you went to 22, maybe even a 10. The only way you're going to get to 10 with the revolver is with the 22, as far as I know of. An 8 and a 9mm with certain guns. But either way, diminished capacity on a revolver. Some people gave me a hard time and said, well, if the triggers so suck, maybe you just need to have a stronger trigger finger to be able to shoot it well. Well, if you watch that video, I actually did shoot it well. I know tricks to shooting a double action well. It's all about staging the trigger, and I know those tricks. But you're never going to do that in a defensive scenario. And as small as this gun is and the way it's built, it's obviously built for one thing, and that's for defense. Concealed carry, defensive carry, anything like that. You're not going to have time to stage a trigger. Anyway, let's just shoot this gun a little bit. Trying to look at it with a fresh perspective, trying to be objective. let's just see how I really feel about it. Let's start with the Scoops TV plate. The other thing I will say about it, I have shot a lot of 9mm this size, but none of them seem to recoil like this does. The recoil on this is rather sharp for how, I mean, it's a small gun. Small guns are going to recoil more. But I've shot plenty this small and smaller that don't recoil as much as this does. I only have one mag for this thing. Let me load it up and I'll come back to you and we'll do some more shooting with it. Alright, I'm back. I didn't reload. I changed guns. That's right, we got a second one here. The black framed one belongs to me, and the, I guess this is OD green or FDE. Oh, this is like FDE. Framed one belongs to my buddy who owns this property where I do this, do these videos. So, let's see, is this one chambered? It is not. So let's shoot again. So that one locked back. I have had issues with the one I own locking back. It's been very unreliable, although this is the first mag I've fired through this one to even see if it's an issue. Mine's been inconsistent. Sometimes it locks back, sometimes it doesn't. I've made sure it wasn't my grip, because if you are gripping wrong, especially if it's a small gun, you have big hands, you can be possibly hitting the slide release and keeping it from locking back. I have had that happen before on smaller guns. Once again, the whole problem with this is if you're shooting it under stress, to be able to shoot it accurately, you have to really be able to focus and concentrate on making good trigger pulls, and that is the biggest issue here. You could definitely practice with it and get better with it. I just feel like there are so many better options, especially this day and age. I feel like we're living in the golden age of firearms. There are amazing guns being manufactured nowadays that are budget guns. Budget guns nowadays are phenomenal. Especially compared to what we had in the past. They really seem to be excelling, and it's just crazy to me how much things have progressed. And for like $25 more, I think I paid $25 more than I paid for the SCCY to get a Taurus G3C, and the Taurus G3C hands down mops the floor with the SCCY tremendously. It's got a pretty darn decent trigger. It's got similar capacity. It doesn't buck in your hand nearly as hard as the SCCY does, because I'm telling you, like, I shoot heavy recoiling stuff, so I know I'm going to get some people in the comments talking about I'm a sissy or something like that because I'm complaining about the recoil of 9mm. I shoot heavy recoiling stuff. I've got a 3-inch barreled 44 Magnum that I shoot 310 grain cast lead bullets through. I've got a 500 Magnum. I have all kinds of crazy stuff. Recoil is not an issue for me. I'm just saying, for its size, this seems to recoil awful hard, and I think if you were a smaller person, you would really have a hard time controlling the recoil of this small of a gun. You know, if you went up to just slightly bigger gun, you'd have a lot more control. Again, I'm trying to be objective, but I'm also trying to explain myself to you. Let's shoot this a little bit more. Still got the FDE one. I'll prove that I can even shoot this well out to 60 yards, because I have before. It just takes so much concentration that you're not going to have if you're having to use this to defend yourself. So we've got our 60-yard silhouette up there. Let's see if we can get some hits in on it. Well, I've hit it before. There we go. There we go. How to figure out my point of aim. Alright, so I just did 4 in a row, a few misses and then another one after I figured out my point of aim with a super short barreled compact 9mm at 60 yards. I can shoot. I can shoot well. I can shoot this gun well, but it just takes such a tremendous amount of concentration. Now, what I will say is what they've designed it to be, it does that well. For a double action only semi-auto, it seems to work well. I just don't want a double action only semi-automatic for a defensive carry gun when there's so many better options out there for very little more money. I just don't feel like this is the best option. Is it the worst gun ever? No. It doesn't seem to have jamming issues. Seem to be able to shoot it accurately. Actually, I have guns that I carry on a regular basis that I don't shoot as accurately as this, but when you're talking about from a defensive capacity, is it about accuracy? Because you're shooting maximum like 7 yards. It's probably going to be more like 7 feet or even less. So the accuracy becomes much less of an issue when you're talking about a concealed carry gun. More about reliability and be able to get that follow-up shot off decently, whereas this thing is like, Also, I have had to really focus on not short stroking this thing because the reset is so long. I am almost touching the front of the trigger guard when you hear it reset. Hear that? That is an insanely long reset. And if you don't come all the way out, nothing. Dead trigger, it's doing nothing. Which that would be the other thing that would possibly be a problem in a high tension defensive situation is you're trying to squeeze this trigger fast and you're never going out far enough for it to reset. That's another issue I have. Like I said, this is all coming from a defensive standpoint is why I have these opinions. What they've designed works well, just not for, in my opinion, it's not the best option for a defensive gun. Let me do some more loading up. We're going to do shooting this a little bit more, and we're going to do some other goofy stuff, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, if you're still with me, and I haven't pissed you off enough with the first video where I smack talked the SCCY, and if this video so far hasn't pissed you off enough about what I had to say about the SCCY, this will really do it. Do you know what's worse than one Sky? It's two. Obviously, I wasn't aiming any of those. That was totally just a goof off for me. Are they the worst pistol ever? No. Do they go bang every time? Yes. I just don't have enough faith in them to suggest them to anybody for a concealed carry gun. If that's all you can afford to get, I understand to an extent. But if you could save up your money to buy this for $200, you could save just a little bit more and spend $250, $300 and get something that is light years better than this gun. Some of the budget offerings now are really phenomenal. I carry a Canik TP9 Elite SC on a really regular basis. It's in my concealed carry lineup, and I shoot it, or I carry it often, I shoot it often. It shoots phenomenal, and it's a budget gun. It's a sub $400 gun. So I'm not being a snob saying you got to spend a lot of money, but if you're gonna defend yourself, if you're gonna defend your life, do it with something that you can rely on more than a Canik, because there's just so many great options out there. I really and truly feel like you're selling yourself short if that's all you're going to carry. After the last video, I had told my future son-in-law that I was going to let him have this gun. I have changed my mind. I'm not going to give it to him. I'm going to buy him something better. So if you want to know if my opinion has changed about the SCCY, I guess I would say to some extent it has. It's not the worst gun ever. It's just not your best option for self-defense, and I hope that you would really take this into consideration. Don't feel like I'm just for no reason bashing your choice in firearms. Just understand I'm speaking from a defensive standpoint that there's so much better out there. But let's just do some more shooting, just so I can say that I gave it a fair try. Let's do some more 60 yard, and then maybe we'll do something really goofy and maybe even take this out to 100. So 60 yard silhouettes right there. I'm not hitting it with a ton of reliability. So the 100 yards really going to be a push, but we'll try it. There's the 60 yard. I gotta admit, I am amazed. I am amazed that with this double action trigger and this short of a barrel, I can hit the 60 yard with that kind of consistency. I'll give them that. Also, like I said, I have a lot of practice with double action triggers and know how to stage one to be able to shoot them accurately. So we know this is 60 yard capable. Let's see if it's 100 yard capable. I'm going to try my best. I promise you, I'm doing everything I can to try to shoot this as well as I possibly can. I just made a 100 yard hit with a sky. Let's see if we can do it again. There we go. See? This is mine. This is the black frame gun. I have nothing but issues with it locking back. I'm going to put another magazine through my buddies. See if I can get it to make some hits at 100 yards and see if it has any problem locking back. The first round or magazine I shot through it, it didn't. There we go. There we go. Oh my God, 4 in a row at 100 yards. 5 in a row. Oh, and I broke the streak, but it locked open. I honestly can't believe I just made 500 yard shots in a row with an SCCY. It's hard to talk smack about it. I can shoot it pretty well. I can shoot it far better than I really feel like I should. I still don't like it. I'm sorry. It's not the worst gun ever, but I don't like it. Please get yourself something better for defense. If anything, you know what I've proven? I've proven that you can have maybe a somewhat fun little range gun for 200 bucks. If that's all you can get to defend your life, then do it. But please consider saving up a few more dollars and getting something a little better, a little more reliable. I still hate it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.